So the next question we had is, do we, in which sectors do we think it's going to play, location awareness is going to play a major role in the future, and why? Here we're looking more at application examples or sector examples rather than the generalities. So I don't know if you can just think of some ideas, you have some ideas about particular applications that you think we can start to see location awareness becoming more important in the future compared with applications that we already have in the past.
Well, I think one area that we're starting to see people come is more in the sense of presence instead of location. Whereas taking data that's location-based, doing analysis or doing routing, but literally in real time, someone making a decision. So there's a new application called CitySense. And what it does is you can turn this on and say, I'm here, within a half-mile radius of me, where are there concentrations of people? And it literally, by tracking cell phone presence, can give you a sense of where there are heat map concentrations. So think of it at nighttime, at an urban setting, and you're looking for a hotspot. You're looking for somewhere where there's lots of people going. That's a really interesting thing because, first of all, it's anonymous. You're not actually looking for a specific person, a specific thing. You're actually trying to analyze data in real time. So the idea of being able to find more things that are like that. I think the other one great example in consumer is social networking and how that may start to play in business. And you mentioned this before, where now the network of collaborators isn't your friends, from personal friends, but work-related colleagues. And so using that to create informal opportunities to network with somebody. So again, real-time use of this, I think is going to present a huge new opportunity. It's just something that we've barely touched.
I think I may add a little bit. Between this concept of mobile devices, one of the themes I've seen coming, people who are coming into Cisco now is geocoding. And people are starting to say, I got mobile devices. Geocoding is taking on a whole new perspective. Whether it's can I geocode your cell phone and your credit card, where people are starting to look at, can I help fight fraud? You don't get to use your credit card unless your phone is within a mile of where you're using your credit card. Natural History Museum just rolled out a contextual aware, where your iPhone app now tells you what you're looking at. And the other interesting geocoding one I've seen is these concepts of, I leave a message on your wall, digital graffiti, and then you walk by and your phone tells you that you have a message waiting for you there because someone's sprayed it on your wall. So there's kind of this concept of, can I geocode things and what does that entail? The other one's documents, right? Can I geocode documents so that you can only open sensitive documents in certain areas? So I think we'll see a lot more development around mobile devices and geocoding. And we'll see a whole bunch of little startups trying to figure out new ways of geocoding things.
Do you see that mainly as a business thing or as a consumer thing or a bit of both or what?
I think it's both. If you look at geocoding, if you look at the industry and the fraud, you're going to see a lot of money around, fraud has a real business ROI to it.
Right.
Anything that reduces fraud is worth a lot of money. Security, anything associated with security in the enterprise is worth a lot of money. The whole, securing documents, big healthcare. There's a lot of financial institutions, a lot of money in those areas. Retail stores, the other ones we've seen is the retail stores where they want you to have that service discovery. You walk into the store, you want to be, or the stadium, you want to be immediately aware of what services are available in that locality.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to just comment on that because I saw when it was in the UK, but what's interesting is you register as you go in with your iPhone. As you walk down an aisle, it'll actually point out something, it'll give you a coupon or will tell you there's a discount. So that doesn't seem like a big difference from what you'd already gotten. Maybe you walk in, okay, here's all the list, but that's a list. I'm standing right in front of you looking here, and it's trying to point me to something there. Yeah. That's the level of sophistication that requires is high, but the level of impact is dramatic compared to traditional means, and that's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
So let's talk about hard to do for just a second. It is not so hard to do. It is nonetheless, I think, a challenge to point you in the right direction at the right moment. Because as a technology expert, you liked that. You liked that and you reacted positively to that when it happened because it excited you that it can happen in London that other day. But if we expect that to happen daily and yield in revenue from these transactions, from taking our share in creating that commerce opportunity, then we are burdened with responsibility over the relevance. I know it's been overused these past 2 or 3 days, but with the relevance, the cognitive, emotional, contextual, pinpoint value of that little finger pointing you in that direction at a given moment. And again, that responsibility beyond mapping a moving subscriber, a moving user to a commerce-related static object is a lot about understanding what is the strength of that tie at that given moment. That given moment is not just a time of day, but also who are you? And I like it when you said the location is no longer just a location, but an availability or a presence factor. It's related more to what your status is on Facebook or who you really are in terms of state of mind at that moment. And if you are open, and again, I say this a lot, in Telmap, we call it OWSM, OWSM, and it's misspelled for open wallet state of mind, to be able to distill someone's openness and ability to make a certain purchase or to react to a certain recommendation that's commercial. And there will be various iterations, we think, before that purifies into something that consumers will learn to trust in a fully receptive way.
What sectors do you think is going to be most important for location awareness?
Well, I'm not an expert on telemedicine and health, and with my experience in supply chain and mobile enterprise, I think there are huge opportunities there, which my current employer is not searching. But I think in the consumer space, things you mentioned, location-based graffiti. Right now, we're showing tweets that relate to you in certain locations. You can go and see what that kind of social history of a place is. You see, up until recently, when we overlaid the map with something, it was always points of interest. And those points of interest, they came from Yellow Pages companies or from Navtech or from Info USA. Right now, if you look about a consumer and what is being overlaid on a map for that consumer, it's completely different stuff. It's tweets and status updates from friends and photos from Flickr that relate to their emotional, social lifestyle and the relationship that they have. And it stops being points of interest in terms of businesses, and it becomes just stuff that has social or personal significance and also a coordinate. And I see that world growing into a richer, very addictive plethora or abundance of use cases and layers of content which essentially relate to the fact that, like you said before we started, the map, the underlying map has become obvious and natural to users.
I mean, trying to go to the segment thing, there is an existing location market right now. And this is kind of around this outdoor GPS market, right? We got trucking and that type of industry. Right. The other big segment is we go inside of buildings. I can tell you, from Cisco's perspective, healthcare. Healthcare is a big area that currently buys location, manufacturing, asset tracking. I think the trend we're seeing is back to these mobile devices. This is where we're getting into, there's a whole new social networking experience that's being explored right now. I think in this new market with these mobile devices, financial is going to be a big area. We're going to see the financial institutions start using location awareness in a more interesting way.
As a way of date stamping or
fraud.
face stamping or
fraud
prevention.
Fraud prevention, it's just a lot of money there. They're going to start looking at it. We're definitely seeing, the museums, Natural History Museum, right? Where if you go to the Natural History Museum now, you're going to take your iPhone out, and that's going to be a new experience. So that's probably another vertical.
I'm not sure what that is, actually. Can you just say that a little bit more?
Natural History Museum basically deployed a location-aware, contextual-aware service. So you go get this app for your iPhone, you go to the History Museum, it will tell you using indoor Wi-Fi location, tell you, hey, you're in this part of the building, so it now knows where you are in the building, and now it can tell you what you're looking at, what exhibit. And that's probably the other big trend, right? There's this whole outdoor location technology that's been around for a while. The other big trend is what's happening inside the buildings. You know, we had Navtech basically build the maps for all the world, right? Build $1 billion business, Nokia bought them. The question is, well, what's going to happen inside the buildings? You know, how's this whole indoor location ecosystem going to evolve? It's not quite as easy to get the map. You know, it's one thing to take satellite pictures and build a big map database. It's another thing.
Yeah, it's also standardization of that specific
Right.
area that is still pretty much, lagging.
Yeah.
I would say.
And this is the concept that people are starting to realize between mobile devices and networks. You know, there's information inside of a network that the mobile device wants, like maps. How do they get that? That's driving new policy. The whole enterprise network is now changing. You know, as the borders come down, data goes outside the network. You know, how do you apply policy to what information is available to these mobile app developers? You know, should I give them the map to them? You know, what map should I give them? That is evolving right now.